Women of the Silk is a 1991 historical fiction novel by Gail Tsukiyama, set in China during the period between the First and Second World Wars. It centers on Pei, a young Chinese girl who is sent to work in a silk factory to help support her family. Raised on a struggling fish farm in the impoverished Guangdong province, Pei's parents, Pao Chung and Isung, are forced to send her to the factory when their finances become unsustainable. Though Pei is initially terrified, she adapts to her new life, ultimately deciding to dedicate herself to the art of silk making rather than marry and have a family. The novel offers a detailed exploration of a lesser-known aspect of 20th century Chinese culture, focusing on the lives of women and their often unspoken emotional connections and bonds of sisterhood. It also highlights the internal lives of women, which are frequently overlooked in traditional literary works. The story begins with Pei's childhood, as her parents struggle to maintain their farm. When Pei turns 8, poor weather and declining conditions cause their business to falter. In desperate need of money, her father sends Pei and her sister Li to consult a fortune teller, who predicts that while Li will marry, Pei will remain single her entire life. Shortly after, Pei's father sends her to live with her relative, Auntie Yi, in Yongqi, where she starts working at the silk factory, sending most of her earnings back to her family. At the factory, Pei quickly finds her place and forms close friendships, particularly with Lin, a girl from a formerly wealthy family in Canton, who becomes her mentor in the silk trade. Pei also bonds with Chen Ling, Auntie Yi's daughter, who introduces her to feminist ideas, advocating for women to reject societal expectations and assert their independence. Another close friend, Mei Li, becomes romantically involved with a man named Hong, who later abandons her after she becomes pregnant. Devastated by this betrayal and the ensuing shame, Mei Li takes her own life. Mei Li's tragic death sparks a deep change in Pei. In response to the injustice and suffering, she decides to undergo the hairdressing ceremony, a rite in which a female silk worker pledges her life to the silk trade, rejecting the traditional path of marriage. Lin joins Pei in this ceremony, marking a powerful moment of solidarity and commitment to their chosen way of life. Soon after, Pei and Lin travel to Lin's family in Canton to celebrate her brother's marriage. It is there that Pei encounters white people for the first time and is struck by the vast privilege they enjoy. Upon returning from Canton, both Pei and Lin notice changes at the factory. The country is slipping into an economic depression, and prolonged periods of bad weather force the workers to toil harder than ever, under the demanding supervision of the factory's owner, Chung. In response, the women organize to demand better working conditions. After a strike, Chung reluctantly agrees to their demands, but tensions escalate between the workers and Chung's male employees, culminating in the death of one worker, Sui Ying. In the year following Pei's return, Auntie Yi passes away. Deeply mourning, Pei, along with the other workers, also feels the looming threat of international conflict, especially the occupation of China by Japanese soldiers. This anxiety leads Pei and Lin to embark on a pilgrimage to Pei's home village, where she reconciles with her family after years of emotional distance and estrangement, and realizes the depth of her mother's love. Upon returning to the factory in Yongqi, Pei and Lin are confronted with a tragic new arrival, Ji Shen, a young woman who has been severely beaten. She shares her story of horrific violence, revealing that her sister and mother were raped and killed by Japanese soldiers. Having herself suffered sexual violence, Ji Shen is haunted by nightmares and trauma. Over time, she grows close to Pei, and together they begin to plan an escape to Hong Kong to seek safety from the Japanese occupation. In the final days at the factory, Lin joins the plan to flee, but while she is doing her final accounting at work, the factory catches fire and she perishes in the blaze. Despite his profound grief, Lin's brother urges Pei to leave, pushing her to escape the danger. As the novel concludes, Pei and Ji Shen head toward Hong Kong, their future uncertain and left to the imagination. Women of the Silk is a poignant and insightful exploration of a politically tumultuous time in China's history. At its core, it is a celebration of the voices and experiences of women and other marginalized individuals whose lives are shaped not only by external violence, but by the powerful societal expectations and traditions that restrict their agency. Tsukiyama masterfully weaves these elements into a vivid, hopeful narrative of resilience and solidarity, highlighting the lives of people who are often overlooked, both in historical accounts and in contemporary discussions about women's roles in China and around the world. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this video, leave a like and subscribe.